I'm sitting down with Mayor Cramer, Mayor of Macedon. Thank you for sitting down with me and talking to me today. A few questions we have for the people of Macedon to sort of think about here. With the entire village-town debate as it sits right now, what are the root issues sort of at play? There's been some things in the news. There have been some things that have been absent in the news. Try to fill the gap here.
Okay. So we've had a couple of different issues that have been addressed here. One is we just had the abolishment of our fire department, which a couple of years ago, the people came out twice at a public hearing, town public hearing, and told the town board that they did not see a need for another fire department. The town board went against the will of the people and established a new fire department. Now the new fire department took over the south side of Macedon, of the canal. Therefore, the Macedon Village Fire Department only took care of just the village. Well, how can any municipality or any business justify to keep a fire department that took over, that used to help the whole township, and only now is able to serve the village? So we had to abolish that. The next thing was the sewer department. With the so what had happened is that in 2013, well, it started 2012. The town came to us and said that the municipal agreement was going to be done with in December. So according to the agreement, it said that once it was done, that any of the bond and everything would be done with it. Okay. So the town decided to bring on a lawsuit. During that time period, we questioned, why are you doing this? Because it makes no sense. The municipal agreement clearly states that, you should not, that once the agreement's done, it's all done. Okay. Their thing is they claimed that there was some ownership. Okay. But even after that 20 years of that agreement, once that was done, the ownership went away, if that was the intent. When I spoke to the people that were part of that are still alive, they stated that that was not the intent of that when they signed it. There was no ownership, it all was up to the village. So under deposition, the supervisor at the time, in 2012 to 2015, had stated that it was his interpretation. It was nobody had told him anything differently, so that's why they were going to sue. The town attorney had stated at a board meeting, at the town board meeting, that it didn't look good for them, but he would look into it. So it looked like at the time that for the village, everything was in place, that there shouldn't be any litigation. So the village decided to sit down and talk, but during that time period, the town decided to put in court papers. So anytime anybody puts in any legal papers, notice of claims or anything, you have to act on it to be able to protect yourself in that. In hindsight, when we look at it all, even from the past, the town has wanted the dissolution of the village. Okay, it was important that they removed every service that they possibly could. So therefore, there was no reason to keep a village. So even though the town says that they didn't really want to dissolve the village, all their actions say something different. Okay, so that's where we are right now. So we've spent a lot of money of trying to protect any assets and the services that we did have that are factually cost efficient to all the taxpayers in the town and the village. Whether it came from the police department, whether it was the fire department, whether it was the sewer department, because people have to remember when we have our sewer department, we also have our water department. So there's a lot of things like equipment that you would purchase for one that you could use for another department. So you're you're utilizing stuff. And now I think what's going to happen is that people are going to find out that the costs are going to increase significantly. It already has with the growth in the town, now we have growth in the police department. We were for many years able to serve the area with less police department, but now you have the unions, you have their pension, they have higher wages. Where did it really save in the long run? So I think that people are going to be finding out that in the long.
Okay, so one of the other, I guess, right in the middle of this is a monetary issue, I'll say, between the town and the village. There is money owed to the village that has not been paid or is not being paid from the town or vice versa. Explain that situation in a nutshell so that people watching or listening can understand what is happening here.
Okay, so what happened is, as part of the litigation, the town wanted to make sure that the village could never shut off the sewer. Okay, the town threatened twice the village that even though they collected the sewer money from the sewer users in January for the whole year, they were going to not pay us for the sewer usage if we did not sign a new municipal agreement. So then we said, really? You're not going to pay for something that we're doing? Well, then we could technically shut you off, but we're not going to do that. Well, then they ran with it. Then the Wayne County judge put an injunction that the village had to, or the town had to pay for the sewer usage. The village had to continue sewage use, which is no big deal. Why would we anyways? Wouldn't, And that part of the deal was that the significant industrial user that is in the town that the village identified, that the village still would be in charge of billing and paying, or billing and getting payment from the significant industrial user. So now what's happened is the town has passed a sewer use ordinance in, I think it was February or March of 2015, and then they told us that we are not allowed to have any contact with their significant industrial user, that they were going to now take over payments and take care of the sampling, and then the significant industrial user's lawyer said the same thing, basically stay away. We're like, okay, well, you're going against the judge's orders. And the advice of our lawyer, he said, look at the bigger picture, let's get rid of this lawsuit and then we'll deal with that. In the meantime, we have not gotten any, I've sent letters to the town, we have not received any money from the significant industrial user. So as today, we are at $107,000 in debt from the sewer budget. So the sewer budget has been affected. That pays not only for the employees' salaries, but the operation and maintenance of the plant. So they're withholding the money, which they really legally don't have the right to do.
So what are the implications for if someone's in the village of Macedon right now? How is this going to manifest itself for them in the next year, 2 years, whatever the case may be? Is there going to be a hike in taxes, or how is this? How does the deficit get closed, I guess, is what the question everyone will probably ask after hearing that.
Right. So what's going to happen is all the sewer users are subsidizing for the significant industrial user. Okay. There's a lot of wear and tear on the plant. So what's going to happen is now we have a deficit in our budget. Who is going to make sure to balance that? Well, it's going to be the sewer users. So now we're going to have to do an increase. So the sewer users of residential and commercial that have been abiding by the sewer use law, they are now going to have to basically pay for the significant industrial users that have not paid.
Okay. So is there going to be I guess, is there a call to action? Like, what can the village residents who are concerned about this, or even town residents who are concerned about this, because I'm sure there are a few out there who are concerned that this entity, even if becomes all town, an all-encompassing town, these will be problems that the burden will be passed along. What is the call to action for them, or what can they do?
The only thing that they can do that I know of is that they need to call the town and say, I don't want to hear any excuses. You need to get the money over to the village to be able to have them balance their sewer budget. But it's like anything else. I've gotten the message out to people. I think what happens is that our life is just so busy that until it affects their pocket, nothing is going to be done. And by that time, it's too late. That's what the saddest thing is.
So what is your, I guess at this point, what is your message to the village residents, to the town residents? What is your message to everyone who's either watching this or listening to this, or who's just been following this story along sporadically between meetings and what little has been printed? What is your message to them?
My message to them is that I'm sorry for what possibly is going to happen to you. I worked my hardest to do the right thing. Our village, we had enough stakeholder people in to talk about it, to say, look, this is going to be a problem. What are you going to do with it? And nothing was done. So unfortunately, because nothing was done, this is the only cause of action. But I am sorry that I was not able to have more influence to be able to make sure that it did not affect
Everyone.
everyone in your pockets. That's what the saddest thing is.